you beautiful people, it's Trakky and welcome back to the channel. Now, who has a RPG in one of their loadouts for Call of Duty Warzone? Let me know down in the comment section. And then those of you who use the PILA, I want you to tell me that you use the PILA down in the comment section, because I kind of want to see what the consensus is really. Then I'm going to ask you guys who run the RPG, have you actually ever looked at any of the other launchers, specifically the PILA? Because today I'm going to explain to you why I believe the PILA is the launcher that you should be choosing over the RPG. Now let's get a few things out of the way. The RPG is a very, very good secondary to be using, especially in the current meta of Call of Duty Warzone. It kind of becomes more effective dependent on the game mode you are playing. It can be a great support weapon for your teammates if you're playing trios or quads, but it can be very, very effective in solos for those people who seem to want to stay in a vehicle for the entire game. The downfalls of the RPG is the fact that you have to calculate your shots and overcompensate if someone's moving, and it doesn't always pay off. You can waste ammo quite often by not being able to get that shot off. Sometimes you'll try and go for a window which is quite far and you'll find that it will arc upwards or it will turn to the right or left. So it's quite unpredictable in its science when it shoots. That's just an RPG's nature. But when it does hit those shots and it hits them very close to the target, it is taking them down, or it is really damaging them, so much so that you probably are going to be able to rush. You know, those top deck windows in them small little houses, specifically the yellow ones where people like to peek out the window, and you just send in a nice warning shot with the RPG. The downside of that is though, the RPG's splash damage radius has a severe drop off. And this is where I like to choose the PILA, because the PILA seems to me to be the more consistent weapon. Now, what are you going to lose if you use the PILA over the RPG? The main thing that you will lose is reloading. The PILA takes about 4.5 seconds to reload. The RPG is just under 2 seconds to reload. So you can spam the RPG quite quickly. And if you put amped on, which I love to use with launchers, it is a must, because one, you can switch to it faster. Two, you'll reload at about 20% faster. So you can see already the cons are starting to weigh in your favor when you start attaching the right stuff to the PILA. But the one singular thing the PILA has over the RPG, and why I think it should be your launcher of choice, is the fact that it has lock-on. So it can be free-fired, but it also has the lock-on capability. And in the current meta of the game, in solos, there are no more armored trucks available. So every single vehicle this hits, it is disabling or destroying completely. And what I like about that is you quite often get people in the later parts of the game who like to just fly around in a chopper. And I calculate it to the right moment where they're pretty close, usually right over the top of my head, and then I'll send in a nice PILA rocket for them. Now, what does this usually do? Switch on the flares and just carry on about the business, which I'll send in another rocket, so they'll end up jumping out. They don't know how the flares work, because there are actually a lot of people that don't realize you can press L1 or R1, and they'll sit in the chopper oblivious, and that's a free kill for me. Or third, they will jump out of that as soon as I get lock on. So what I tend to do is lock on and see what they're about to do, because quite often they will deplete their flares in a panic. I wait a few seconds, then I let that shot off, and they are jumping out of that helicopter or dying in it. It's one of the two. The dying one's quite obvious, gulag, or they're done for that game. The second one, well, think of it this way. Once they jump out of that chopper, quite often the parachute's going to be pulled and you have a sitting duck in the air. And if you don't finish that person off, you better believe somebody else is going to finish them off. And that is one less person to worry about on the map. Also, they've got the danger of where they're going to land, because you better believe everybody has been watching that chopper, getting annoyed with it. So quite often you'll see that person get lasered out the sky. In terms of vehicles, people seem to be quite arrogant in their use of the ATVs and the buggies. Because quite often I've found that I've shot the PILA locked on and they haven't jumped out. and it's just a free kill for me, or it's a free down, I just got to run over and finish them off, pick up their stuff and carry on about my business. For the cost of reload time, which you will reduce if you used amped, and you'd be stupid not to use amp with a launcher anyway, because you can instantly switch to your launcher. That's the only real con I can see going against the PILA over the RPG. And for me, having the ability to lock on all vehicles in the game and also free fire is the reason why I will always take the PILA over the RPG. Guys, there are many buttons you can hit, but a like and subscribe button, I hope they tickle your fancy. And as always, guys, don't forget to stay on the right track. Peace.
Well done.